Greetings, travelers. I'm back at it again. Time to take a look at those base stats for races in Final Fantasy XIV to determine what is the optimal job to play. Just kidding. It's time to get racist. In order to prepare myself, I had to study up. So yeah, I just read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft and... Jesus. What's this?
Okay.
Keepers of the Sun, Seekers of the Moon. Yeah, all that shit's the same to me. Alright, you already know the drill. No one is safe. Not even you, Jackson. I hope I freak someone out with that. We will start with the empty void that existed before the entire caste system. I'm talking about a race that still isn't in the game, even though it is.
What?
It's male Rogadin, whose character isn't a complete joke. Now, I've put a few hours into this game, and I will say that I'm a hermit who hardly ever walks around in public, but goddamn, I have literally never seen a male Rogadin who wasn't just Shrek or walking around in a Speedo 24/7 or both. No one actually plays the race for anything other than a meme. And even if all of the serious male Rogadin players in the world tried to band together to prove their existence, that's still not a significant enough amount to cause me any concern. Moving up to where the caste system actually exists, we have the bottom, the untouchables. It's the Elizin. Yeah, Elizin are really something, aren't they? You don't see too many of them in the game in the first place, and I think most people will point to one elongated...
This is so weird to me, because Elizin, as in like elves, I guess, in World of Warcraft, are adored, and usually very high ranked, no matter what kind of elf it is, whether it's the high elf or the night elf or whatever. People love elves. I don't know what it is with Elizins and them in FF14, but it's completely different.
Feature as the cause. Now, I'm not really a big fan of making fun of people for traits that they don't have control over, but guess what? You do have control over what character you play in Final Fantasy XIV. The long necks of the Elizin are said to be able to help them be closer to the sky, and therefore help the Ishgardians in the war against the dragons. Please finish the Heavensward expansion. Remember that one scene in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie when King Neptune shows that he's got a bald head and everyone just starts pointing at him and saying bald? That's how everyone reacts to Elizin necks. Now you understand Udianger's outfit. Moving up a little bit, we have the land of races with heads but nothing to place on top of them. I put Hrothgar here, and Viera just above that. Hrothgar are almost like male Rogadin, but I do see people playing them seriously every now and again. Think JoJo parts 1 through 3, but hairier. But the reason that they are worse off than Viera is not because of the furry bait, but because they also don't get a selection of hairstyles unless they want a facelift. Honestly, I just feel bad for them at this point. I only look at the Hrothgar with eyes of pure pity. Pity that they'll never get to be as baller as everyone else. Viera are only slightly better. Sure, they are basically walking Victoria's Secrets models that also have some of the least amount of clothing by default. But they are also cursed with the immunity to objects being placed on their heads. This causes their prowess to compete in fashion to be greatly nerfed. How are you supposed to be the top of the hierarchy with that? If you don't think that you want hats now, trust me, you'll want them eventually. As we all know, they have also set the beauty standards for all women in the world to have bunny ears and be at least 6 feet tall. At least Viera did serve as a motivator for horny players to create an illegal mod that adds Viera hats, so I'll give them that. Finally, the middle of the road. Starting with the worst of the middle, you get the real demons of Final Fantasy XIV. Lalafell. I fucking hate these gremlins. Don't be deceived by their outward cuteness and ability to turn the most sinister and intimidating aesthetics in this game into pure adorableness. Underneath that exterior lies some of the most vile and petulant people on the planet. They are also single-handedly the reason why the Warrior of Light is not allowed to interact with any characters directly in cutscenes so that they can all be Lalafell friendly. Need citation. How do more Lalafell get created? Well, two of them love each other very much. They go into a room, they turn off the lights, and they violate the Geneva Convention. Think about Old Dom. Does anything good ever happen in that place? Hell no. When Tataru, Kryl, and Wedge all inevitably betray the Scions and Endwalker, don't say I didn't warn you. Going up one
I
notch, you
thought
land on the opposite of a lot.
at the end of Realm Reborn, I legitimately thought that Tatara was gonna betray us. I was so convinced. I thought she was like the evil mastermind, and she's somehow still there.
Olafel with a male aura. This is pretty easy to understand. You have the cold, war-hardened exterior, but inside is just some fuckboy. Shit. Maybe I was supposed to play an aura. You might think that I would say something about ERP at this point, but really, I'm just here to let you know that they run around like Crash Bandicoot. And that's the reason why I don't have much disdain for the male aura.
Hot.
Because they moderately entertain me by doing literally nothing whatsoever. Ah, yes, the middle of the middle of the middle of the social cast. Welcome to the basic bitches of Final Fantasy XIV. Female Mikote and female Aura. Think of Starbucks, those live, laugh, love signs, and par romantic comedies. That's what it means to be a player of one of these races. The absolute bulk of all players who think they are special in a sea of everyone else in this game. You want to make some money? Take a bet of what race somebody will play in this game, and odds are it's going to be one of these two. You think that me, Misshapen Chair, isn't self-aware enough to know that I'm one of the most basic bitches on the planet? Well, guess what I'm about to say next. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe and ring the bell. People will try to convince you that there is a meaningful difference between these two races, and I'm here to let you know that Yugiri was originally a Mikote under that mask back in A Realm Reborn, and you couldn't even tell the difference.
That's
it really
not true,
is a
is it?
hilariously large majority of the
That's
player
not true.
base. Finally, we are in the upper echelons of the elite, pure races. Where's Measurehead's dialogue when I need him? At the bottom of this layer of the cake, you have the Hyur. You'd figure that the human equivalent in the universe of Final Fantasy would be the most basic, but you're educated to know better now. Really, the Highlander and Midlanders of the world are the closest thing you can get to making...
What? Yugiri was actually a Mikote? Is that really true? Why? How did that even... How did all of that even happen? Well, yeah, they weren't coded, but they may have been planned. Who's to say that she was a Mikote? Was that ever confirmed?
...in yourself in-game, increasing immersion, and also being in the best height bracket to have the smoothest interaction with all animations in the game. It's like playing The Sims and making a life that seems so perfect and simple while your real life is, let's not go there. It's either that, or they just weren't adventurous enough to choose something more exotic.
Wait, are you trying to tell me that Yugiri actually had a cat tail instead of aura tail? Is there footage of that I can take a look at?
Like a Hyur, but with a cat ear headband and calling it its own race. The only thing I can say is I'm just lost on the female Hyur walking animation. Close to the top, you probably didn't see this coming. It's Catboy's Paradise. Yeah, the male Mikote are like the male Viera, but with hats. Boom, now this video is already updated for Endwalker. Being a cat girl is basic, but being a cat boy is acidic. Think of all the great cat boys in history. You got Cool Cat from Looney Tunes, Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes, and Tigger, which are all characters that don't appear in Final Fantasy. Still, I think male Mikote are cool with their big, rock-hard abs and cat-like features, but they are only dwarfed by the true
if I ever become anything else, I'll be a male
Rogadin is the top of the entire racial caste system in Final Fantasy XIV.
I love this.
This is actually the most fetishized race in the entire game if you're trying to make money through ERP. Just in case you wanted to know, but I didn't tell you that. What can I say? They have nice asses and hats. While female Rogadin might have a low play rate, that's just because you have to work out a lot to get enough muscle to handle playing Ephemeral. If there was a deathmatch between all of the races in Final Fantasy XIV, you already know who's gonna come out on top. I just hope they crush me with their gigantic thighs. Well, 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 what do you know? Hot people are hot. Rogadin really do make up the bread of the Final Fantasy XIV racial caste sandwich.
This makes me
now
miss
let's
my
get
row.
out there and psych! Don't you know who I am? Cat girls are the best, baby. Woo!
That legitimately freaked me out a little bit. That was a fun video.